Okay, my name is Jake, and this is project 2 for EC 244. Here we go. So first, I'm going to talk about my interrupts. So what I did was I pretty much just I copied the code from the interrupt using the buttons and the LEDs from the in class that we did. And what's really cool, actually, or well, probably not that cool, was I noticed that in this blink function that it updates the state from not state, right? And so what I did was all the code that I have actually displaying stuff to the screen and also to the serial monitor, I put it in an if else statement, right? So here we have if state, that means if the state is 1, if it's true, then all of this then it'll display to the screen. And then also with this too, I'll explain this in a sec. And then else, I just have it displaying and not measuring. And so pretty much what this means is that when I actually start the program, the LED starts off, it starts low, and as in exclamation mark state, right? And then as soon as I press the button from using the code that we did in class, then the state is updated to true, and then it'll run all the code. And so next, I'll do how I actually displayed it to the OLED screen. So here, how I calibrate it was I use a map instead of the map F because I actually try to do so. This is exact same thing here, but instead using map F, and it didn't like me using this at all, and so I just didn't. I just decided to use map, which, if I remember from the slides, that just means the measurements are less accurate by a couple decimals, I think. But so when I tested it at first, I noticed that the Z axis on the accelerometer was about the same as gravity. So in calculating the height for each bar in the bar graph, I'm using the raw data from the X, Y, and Z. And then for each height value or for the range of values, I'm using -10 to 10 because, as it says in the comments here, I assumed it couldn't be, too much or, too much less than gravity. And 0 to 40 is the range at which the actual bar graph is displayed. So -10 to 10 is the actual values, and 0 to 40 is where the bar graph sits on the OLED screen. And 40 isn't a super significant number. I messed around with a ton of numbers here to make sure it actually fit on the screen correctly. And you're going to see that in the video after this. But so yeah, I just pretty much just copied it. And I made a draw bar function where I used the fill rectangle function, which I just found from the OLED display Arduino. Uh, I'll show it in my comments, but in the Arduino IDE website, there's a whole thing that explains all these functions. And so here here's where I'm using height, and 20 is the actual width of the bar in the X, which it could honestly be any number. Like the bars could be a lot thicker on the OLED screen, but I just decided to make it 20 because that's what looked the best. And I made 64 minus height the actual height of the bar because 64 is the limit is like the actual height of the OLED screen, and I just subtracted the height from that, so it wouldn't really so there's really no opportunity for the bar to, extend past the screen, so you can't see any values. And this is where I'm drawing the horizontal axis with well, actually, this is just a white line next to all the bar graphs, and I have a separate function that draws all the intervals because I didn't really know how to fit this function in there. And here is where I'm displaying all the values above the bar to make them a little more clear because it's kind of hard. I tried to design it the best I could, but it is still kind of difficult to see, what kind of range of values we're working with here. And so here's my draw intervals function. I didn't really know what else to call it. I think that's a pretty good name for, all the little slots that are in the axis. And I just used a for loop that would extend the entirety of the screen vertical wise. Oh, I think I accidentally set horizontal up here. I meant vertical. And every 10 pixels, it's right, 10 pixels. Yeah, every 10 pixels, it just draws a little notch, and you'll see that, in the video that's cut after this. And here's just a little bit of code that makes it look nice. So that's that. A lot of this, again, is from stuff that we've done in class. Um, oh, so I included a few libraries in here. One of them was for the actual sensor, which is the MPU 6050, and then this is for the OLED screen. So, but yeah, I think that's about it. Nothing too complicated here. So, yeah, that's my code. Okay, here's my video of my accelerometer and my interrupts and everything. So here, as you can see, it's not measuring, and if we want to start measuring, then we just need to press this button that triggers an interrupt. And there you go. So I have all my values displayed as bar graphs with the values displayed above, just in case the side units aren't very clear. But as you can see, works perfect. And then if you don't want to measure anymore, then just press the button, and there you go. So.